Good morning, everyone. Let's call court to order. Is there a motion to accept this report for recording purposes?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Recording in progress.
Please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, March 28th, 2024 at 3:30 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge to the flags led by Veteran Service Officer Steve Hernandez.
Please join me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas,
One state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right, this is a spot for public comment. If there's anyone here to speak to the court on business matters, please do so at this time. All right, seeing none, I'd like to go to items D under proclamations and resolutions. And this morning, we have a proclamation recognizing the week of young child. And so Wendy, you and folks here to receive the proclamation, please come forward, and Dustin Chapman's going to read it, and then if y'all want pictures or anything like that, we'll do that right after that, so. All right, Dustin?
All right, this is a proclamation of the Commissioners Court of McLennan County, Texas, recognizing Week of the Young Child. Whereas the Commissioners Court of McLennan County, in conjunction with United Way of Waco McLennan County, the McLennan County Child Wellbeing Movement, and the National Association for the Education of Young Children, is celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 6th through April 12th, 2024. And whereas the McLennan County Child Wellbeing Movement, a collaborative of community residents and local organizations, has developed a community action plan, which includes strategies to address the need for more high-quality early learning opportunities and stronger supports for McLennan County families that in turn can provide a foundation of well-being for the more than 21,000 children between the ages of 0 to 5 living in McLennan County. Whereas teachers, nonprofits, early childhood professionals, healthcare professionals, and others who make a difference in the lives of young children in McLennan County deserve thanks and recognition. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's futures and to the prosperity of our society. And whereas the future of our great country depends on the quality of life we provide to our youngest residents today. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Commissioners Court of McLennan County does hereby proclaim April 6th to April 12th, 2024 as the Week of the Young Child in McLennan County, and encourage all residents and organizations across sectors to join the McLennan County Child Wellbeing Movement in its efforts to make a good investment in early childhood in McLennan County. Be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be made a permanent part of the minutes of the Commissioners Court. Judge?
All right, thank you. Wendy, if you'd like to make a few statements to the court or anyone else?
Sure, Judge and Commissioners, we just want to say thank you for issuing the proclamation, always recognizing this important week. We were here last year, we talked a little bit about the child wellbeing movement in McLennan County, and we have several representatives with us here today, MCC, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, McLennan County, Magnolia Foundation, just a small representation of some of the groups that are working with us on the initiative. And what we're really focused on this year is, one, communication, making sure that the people who need the information about resources available, that information is getting to them. We have a collaborative of over 35 local organizations that are working on that. And then the other key project that we're working on this year is looking at the child care crisis. We know that 42% of parents in McLennan County have a child on a wait list for early learning center or child care center. And so we're looking at how we can make more seats available, open that up, and give everybody an opportunity to get the best start possible. So we appreciate the support and the partnership that we have with McLennan County.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate the organization and all of the fine directors and volunteers that you have. You had a great event this past week
sir.
of celebrating 100 years.
100 years of service in McLennan County, something we're
great.
really proud of. So,
Great.
thank you.
So I'm gonna walk around here, and if y'all want pictures, they're $2 a piece. No. Won't y'all come up?
Oh, my God.
Get around and then. All right. You bet. Thank you.
So much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, Teacher. Good to see you. Take care. All right. Okay, let's go to item under M5.
Judge, we need to approve that.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the proclamation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve that proclamation. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. And everyone's welcome to stay, but if you need to leave, go right ahead. Under M5, this is Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service update to District Extension Administrator. So, step forward. How are you? Morning.
My name is Jay Kingston, and I'm the District Extension Administrator for A&M AgriLife here in District 8. So McLennan County falls within this A&M's District 8, which includes 21 different counties. And this morning, I'd like to give you a little update of kind of some of the things your agents have been doing the last year. So I don't know if you know this, but you have some pretty outstanding agents here in McLennan County.
We do. Thank you.
I haven't been in this position very long, but it didn't take very long to realize that. And so I'm proud to be here this morning to share some info with you. You have Dr. Shane McClellan. He is your Ag Extension Agent. Rachel Esquivel is your Family and Community Health Agent. You have April Strickland, which is your Better Living for Texans Agent. Madeline McCovey is your 4-H and Youth Development Agent, and Jared Muir is your Natural Resources Agent. This front page is some information district-wide that covers health and wellness activities that we've conducted across the district. But on the back page is more focused on McLennan County and the things that your agents have accomplished this past year. Some of the things to highlight in your Ag and Natural Resources programming area. You have a lot of volunteers in the community that support the county, and that's a good thing to see. You have a 116-member Master Gardener program volunteering over 4,500 hours to the community, and that's a great thing. Shane does quite a bit of programming with beef cattle and new landowner educational series, as well as pretty big and in-depth involvement in the Blackland Income Growth Conference, the BIG conference, and so definitely something to be proud of there. In your family and consumer sciences areas, Rachel works really well with the Cooking Well with Diabetes, both for the English and the Spanish-speaking communities, and has a great outreach there. She also has a great partnership with McLennan County Community College, as well with a lot of nutrition programming with them as well. April with the BLT, we call it BLT, Better Living for Texans, which targets those lower income SNAP eligible families, providing them with nutrition and healthy activities. She stays busy quite a bit, actually reaching over 3,000 SNAP eligible participants this past year. Then in our 4-H and youth development, you have Jared, who works diligently with the 4-H livestock projects here in the county, and Madeline that has over 368 youth participating in the 4-H program. And so you have a very large, robust 4-H and youth development program here.
That would be Maddie, right?
Maddie, yeah, sorry. She'll give me a hard time later. She also does a great job with curriculum enrichment, and that's going into the schools and providing some education to go along to supplement what they're learning in the schools, and reaches a large number of 8,500 school-aged youth in the area schools. And then Jared does a great job supervising over 700 4-H livestock projects and having about 120 of those 300 members participate in that project too. And so Jared also provides some support for some natural resource programming as well, specifically in the feral hog trapping areas, and he works with master naturalists. And overall, you have a great group of agents that work here in the county, and definitely proud of what they're accomplishing. That's what I have for you this morning.
Well, thank you. Well, we value Texas Agri-Life tremendously in this county and have been for many, many years. Where way back in the day, it was primarily support around agriculture production, and has expanded greatly into people that have yards and gardens. To one that I'm most impressed with is the support around the youth through the 4-H program, that you see so many young people that I've always called it a bait and switch program, that you have a project out here, and it might be an animal or it might be a garden or whatever, but get them interested in that, and what they learn from it is the switch to that is life skills and responsibility and those things.
Absolutely.
So, and we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And we've always enjoyed the talent of that Texas Agri-Life Extension has provided, and we put you in that category.
Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to approve that report for recording purposes?
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
All right, thank you. All right,
Yes.
I think, Josh, if you want to come forward, it's under item G11, authorization of interlocal agreement with City of Waco on behalf of the Waco Police Department. So, Mr. Teets, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all very much. This is one of those approvals that is required for the court for us to use our forfeiture money that we've gained and saved up over the years from criminal activity. This is something that's very cool, though. I just wanted to briefly tell you guys about it. It's going to benefit the whole county. It's some pretty exciting technology that we've used in past cases, but we will now have local access to it. And any law enforcement agency will be able to use it under this agreement. But it's some special software that can download information out of the new smart vehicles that everybody has. We're using that for our major violent crime cases. What we've done in the past is track down murder suspects. It can be used for human trafficking, juvenile matters, missing children, you name it. But those cars, when a phone connects now, you can track that phone, you can know where that phone came from, who had that phone, and actually get data off the phone itself that is uploaded into the vehicle. And so this is going to be a tool for law enforcement that we're really excited that we're able to help them purchase.
All right, good. Any questions or comments?
And this is coming from the forfeiture funds, is that correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
What is, do I see an amount or anything on here?
It is roughly $20,000, roughly $20,000.
What I like about it, it's paid for by past violators.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
There you go.
Agree.
All right,
Motion to approve.
I have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass. Thank you, sir. All right.
Appreciate it, Judge.
All right, I'd like to go to items under L4. This is Waco McLennan County Emergency Management, introduction of Assistant Emergency Management Coordinator. A new guy to y'all, but not a new guy to us.
All righty, Judge Felton, Commissioners, good morning. Thank you all for taking the time to see us again this morning. I'm proud to announce the newest member of our office, our new Assistant Emergency Management Coordinator, Tim Jeske. I will give him some time here in a minute to introduce himself, but I can tell everyone here, McLennan County scored a major coup stealing him away from Bosque County. He is both hyper competent and talented, and is going to do amazing things for the residents of this county. We're very happy to have him, and like to give him the opportunity to introduce himself to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate the opportunity to join the team. As Ryan said, I've served as county EMC, assistant EMC over in Bosque County for many years. Previously worked at HODCOG as regional Homeland Security Manager. So familiar with grants and all the stuff, very familiar with county government. I haven't worked in it for many years. So excited to be part of the team, excited to work here with Ryan and all of you guys, and accomplishing great things for the citizens of Clinton County.
Good. Tim's been he's well-known in this field, and mentioned HODCOG, and that's where my knowledge of Tim is, and then feedback from other folks that have come in and applied for grants and those things, different departments and all, and does a great job, and so we're very glad to have you.
May I also say, this is the man that put together the bid for the tower at Woodway.
Yeah, yeah, good.
Yes.
Appreciate the help. All that's turning out very well.
Fun first assignment, I bet.
Yeah. Well, welcome, and so feel free to contact any of the commissioners or myself on any issues we can do to help.
Good deal. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Ryan.
Judge,
Okay.
while we have Ryan, do you want to go ahead and do the burn ban item, E7?
Yeah, okay. What item is that? What'd you say, E7?
E7, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, under E7 is consideration of I guess you'd call it a temporary burn ban, kind of out of the normal criteria. So, yes, so.
So with the eclipse weekend nigh upon us, we felt that out of an abundance of caution, it was wise to institute a temporary burn ban within the unincorporated parts of the county. We have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to have lots of people camping out and having parties in fields and things like that. And while things are very green out there right now and the wildfire risk is comparatively low, we felt this was a necessary step to make absolutely sure that all the folks, not only who live in the county, but are also visiting from out of town, are as safe as they can be over the eclipse weekend. So we recommended, the Office of Emergency Management recommended that we place a temporary burn ban over the eclipse weekend at the very least.
Are other counties doing this?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But with, as I mentioned, something that's been on my mind somewhat recently, everyone was aware of the pumpkin patch fire that happened in, I believe it was Temple last year.
Oh, yeah, right.
Several dozen cars were burned up in a non-wildfire scenario. And with that many cars in a field, all it takes is one catalytic converter that sets a field on fire. So we wanted to make sure we could do everything we could to try to prevent something like that. Resources being stretched as they are, these precautions, I feel, were necessary.
And, we have along with many other agencies and volunteer groups, the volunteer fire departments are in preparation for if they're called in. And so just if anything we can do to help them from being stretched is the idea about that.
And on that note, I do think it's important for the commissioners to know, we've had positive conversations with the Texas Forest Service, who will be stationing a strike team in McGregor throughout the entire weekend of the eclipse. They're not tasked to us particularly, but they are there if we need them, which will be helpful to help with the response times.
Yeah. And then lastly, for me, is the volunteer fire departments out in the rural areas many times are the first responders to other things as well. And so just anything we can do to keep them available and open to serve the community and the need is what we were thinking on this. So, any other questions or thoughts? All right. I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose, pass. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. All right, is Anna here? Or is she online, I guess?
I'm here. Good morning,
Okay,
everyone.
let's go to G7, authorization of agreement, proposal for NFP comparison consulting, comprehensive comparison study. All right, Anna?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning again, everyone. So I have here the second piece of the compensation study proposal. I first introduced to the court on March 19th. And, well, as far as proposal goes, I know we've been discussing it since November of last year. But this is the second piece of the compensation study. I propose to break it apart to get two perspectives. The first from public sector personnel consultants. That agreement has been approved on March 19th. This is the second piece. I'm introducing NFP compensation consulting to help us review our compensation structure and system, and also help us review our incentive pay program to give us guidance and recommendation on its competitiveness and value and continuance. This second component or piece agreement cost is $17,500. And I'd like to invite, I do have help here. Megan Nail from NFP is actually connected, and if it's okay with the court, I'd like to invite her on and give us a brief bio and overview of NFP's
That's fine.
services. Megan, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it okay with the court if I speak a little bit to our experience in the project?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to join you. Thanks, Anna. I'm Megan Nail. I am one of the leads of NFP Compensation Consulting practice. We are full-time compensation consultants and have significant experience in government and with pay-for-performance systems within government as well as we have outside experience in the private sector. So we would really value and welcome the opportunity to work with your county on the pay structure and the pay incentive program and provide that outside perspective based on the data and the other work, as Anna had shared, that you have the other consultant doing with benchmarking.
Thank you.
Are there any, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer or explain further.
Any questions? And just, we relied a lot for many years on what was called the water study, the Raleigh Waters study from years ago, but it set the baseline. And so this will either give us confidence that that baseline was it's still relevant today, or allow us to amend that baseline using a combination of, if we choose, the Raleigh study or the new studies that come out to be able to make sure that we're competitive in our salary ranges. And as you know, turnover is an expensive problem to handle, and we want to be sure that we are paying a fair wage. And so I support this effort. And any other thoughts? Anyone?
Will these two compensation consultants, will they look at our overall benefit package also too, as far as that, as far as how competitive we are in that?
So related to benefits, and things like our medical insurance and disability products and the like, that, I'd like to piecemeal and have that be its own study, perhaps a year from now, just because compensation and base pay is such a comprehensive study in and of itself. I want to first do that piece and component, and then perhaps next year also bring in assistance to review not just our insurance, but also our supplemental pay programs. So that would be things like our bilingual pay program, our night shift pay, our new night shift differential pay program, and the like. And so I might bring that forward, just depending on where we are with compensation and base pay, bring forward a second or another component of our compensation program would be in the form of benefits and supplemental pay.
Mr. Jones, I appreciate that question because we put a lot of effort into benefits.
Sure do.
We subsidize a health plan, and we encourage the participation in the retirement programs and those kind of things.
I feel like we have a very affordable, highly competitive health plan right now.
As I do.
That works well, and then it's professionally administered by our HR team and United Healthcare. So I would like to see what that, how that compares to others out there.
And I think, there again, two comparisons. One is a comparison to other public entities like cities and counties, but as you know, we compete with private industry as well, and so we can't offer like stock options and those kind of things that were out there for people. My background in finance, that was a big part of the package to offer those kind of things. So we need to be sure that we're competitive in that regard.
I believe government may be the only pension, defined benefit retirement left and being offered out there anymore. So it does have some sort of, to me, it should have some sort of appeal. I don't know.
Yep. Okay, any other questions or? All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Connor. All right, Dustin, we're gonna go back up to consent agenda.
Judge, if we can do one other item first, we have
Sure.
Judge Swanton online for item G12. This is authorization and memorandum of understanding with 1A Smart Start LLC for ignition interlock devices for specialty court. The court remembers we approved a contract similar to this for another vendor, Lifesaver, back in February, and this is another option. So Judge Swanton, would you like to cover this?
Yes, thank you, Dustin. Good morning, Judge Felton, Commissioners. How are you
Good
all
morning.
doing?
Good morning.
We are seeking approval. We have a memorandum of understanding with a local vendor, Smart Start, who provides ignition interlock devices. As you all are aware, many of the folks who participate in the specialty court programs are required by statute to get interlock devices installed in their vehicles. And we're trying to give them some different choices to use for vendors and give them a little wider range of options that might be available to them. And Smart Start provides another option for them to use. And we are seeking approval. These funds are paid, the interlock devices, the fees are paid through grants, various grants that the specialty courts receive. And we're just asking that they be allowed to be directly billed through the county.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. May I be approved, may I be excused, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, we can go back up to the consent
All right.
agenda now.
Thank you.
Suggested pulls are E3A, HR matter for Commissioner Precinct 2, E3B, HR matter for IT, and then we've already approved E7, the burden ban.
Okay. All right, with the exceptions of the previously mentioned pulls, is there a motion to approve? Are there any other pulls recommended by the court? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of E3B and E3A and E3B?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those pass. All right, going under item E3A, under HR matter concerning precinct 2, I'd like to pull that with no action. Under E3, under E3B is information technology. Anna?
Yes, sir. Here, I have here a request for a salary adjustment from our IT director, John Carter. The current salary for the IT director is $139,739, and the request from the IT director is to have his salary adjusted to the budgeted amount of the position, which is $150,042. I highlight just for the court that I identified an error in the budgeted amount during last budget sessions, and that's when the position was posted, a mid-year adjustment was made based off of more current information than would have been used to compare other county positions. And so HR erred and should have flagged that position to not have the 9% cost of living adjustment applied, and that wasn't done. And so because the position budget had that miss or that error, I would feel HR would recommend waiting until our compensation study is completed to have them recommend the benchmark or comparative salary for the position.
When is our department reviews? Is that the end of this month?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any discussion, any questions? Anyone have?
Well, you know, I think, Judge, I've expressed my opinion before about this type of recommendations during the middle of the budget year and not being in favor of them. I'd like to see us look at this during that department head review when we look, because I think we make those recommendations generally during that time, and that's less than, really less than about a month away.
And then they're implemented in the next budget year, which would be October 1, right?
I guess that's how it's done.
Well, I guess.
Well, and Judge.
Okay.
Judge Johns was a little different. He had not, I think it was last year at department head review time, he had not been employed 6 months. So he did not go through that formal review process of what I remember.
Okay.
And then typically, you know, we'll, after some sort of time period and a review period, the court can consider adjusting that department head salary. So that's essentially what John is requesting.
Okay.
So that's different. He's made it through the review, he's made it through the period, and now it's time to adjust his salary to the budgeted amount, which is
right, and that's within the court's discretion, you know, after an evaluation, essentially.
After an evaluation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is only a few weeks away, 34 weeks, good.
Yeah.
And that's how we've done it in the past with somebody coming in like mid-stride or something, Dustin, that we've been able to adjust it after we do the evaluation?
Yes, sir, I believe so. And Anna can probably share a little bit more detail on that. I know she had looked into like the tenure of department heads when they were moved to that budgeted max position.
The last 3 newer directors or so, they first received an evaluation and then were considered for an adjustment up to and including budget.
So if we look at the department head evaluations and determine that, yes, this is something we want to do, will it become effective immediately or next budget cycle?
It could be immediately, because it's a request within budget, so that there isn't a request to adjust the
I
budget
see,
itself.
because we're staying within the budgeted amount.
I thought I recalled us doing that.
Yeah, I like,
Coming up with a number and giving it to them at that time.
I like that idea.
Yeah, going to the budgeted, like, there's the budget, that budgeted amount, that's important that we get to that.
So I would recommend, or
period
I'd,
in review.
okay, excuse me for interrupting. I would recommend that we defer until after the department head reviews and then put it back on the agenda at that time, and we can act at that point or in the budget. That's a motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion?
Just want to say real quickly, Judge, and this is in the interest of being consistent again.
Yeah.
And making sure that we apply the same practices
Right.
to all of our department heads.
Right. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. I do want to say in public that I am very satisfied with how Mr. Carter has performed in his duties, and the department is all hands on deck. And we're going through a lot of changes, and be going through many more as we expand our footprint into the new judicial center and those kind of things. So I just want to make that statement.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Well said.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, Dustin?
All right, moving on to item F, bids, RFPs, RFQs. F1 is authorization to quote expenditures related to Commissioners Court audio video technology move. John?
Thank you. And thank you for considering the request.
Yes, sir.
F1, we are in F1, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We have several things on here.
So this is about the Commissioners Court. We talked about remodeling it, but we don't know if possibly we'd be moving in a year or two or possibly 3. So we decided to just attack the audiovisual portion of this. So what you're seeing here is just, you've seen the quotes, the total is $5,757.11. What that would include is moving the folks that you see over to your left here in the AV section into this office, which has already been vacated, and moving all the audiovisual equipment over there. And then trenching, well, not trenching now, but moving all the wiring and everything over there. It also includes a workbench and 2 seats. It has been it's been passed through with Dustin and the judge. We talked to him about it, and everybody thinks it's a good idea to have that happen so we can have better control over these meetings and make adjustments. There are some physical adjustments that can help some of the issues we've been seeing in court.
Right.
And those are easier to make when you're off camera and not having to move about and disturb everyone else.
Right.
It has been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Okay. I think it frees up a little congestion here and as well, and it lets them be able to communicate among themselves. It's something above a whisper, they have to talk to each other, and so that would help let them be more relaxed about that, helpful, hopefully.
And my question, Judge, is will you still be able to communicate with them, like start recording, stop recording?
Yeah.
That through,
Line of sight is gonna be important for that, so we can give them the nod or
okay,
that thing.
okay.
Yeah.
And all of this equipment will be gone?
Yes, the tables
rack?
and the rack and
The rack?
everything. So it'll be like this wall. You'll just see standard wall.
We'll have another Ken over here on this side?
Say it.
Is that what you're saying?
There is no other Ken, but
Okay.
Commissioner Miller used to
Yes.
sit back there
Yeah,
in the day
yeah,
when she was Commissioner Gibson's assistant.
yeah. Well, I'd hope that we'd leave it open and with the exception of Ken.
Ken,
Yeah. He's a fixture.
I'm a fixture.
All right, any other thoughts? All right, what's the pleasure, court?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Pass. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
F2 is authorization of quote from Solid IT Networks for County Court at Law Number 3 cabling. John?
Yeah, so this is, County Court at Law number 3 has added a person, and they're moving a few things around over there, so this is just the cabling to allow all that to happen technology-wise. The total here is $5,360. And we are requesting a budget amendment to go along with this, because this was an unexpected expense from the IT perspective. And the quote you're seeing, just wanted to call this out, it has 2 options on there. So we're accepting option 2, which is the cheaper option here for the cabling for the bailiff and law clerks. Again, this has been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Okay. Any questions?
So I just have a quick comment.
All right.
When we add a person, like we have in this case, and there was debate about it, how much it was going to cost. I mean, this has to be added into that, to that cost. So at some point, we need to see what,
True cost.
what the consequences of adding a full-time employee is to the staff, to different staffs. So that's just my comment.
No, that's a good
Opinion.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm
It
not
happens
saying
all the time.
whether we do it or not, that's the decision of this court, but let's start calculating all those.
I don't know this particular instance. I didn't go back and look at all the history of it. When we do it at budget time, we do estimate approximately $2,000 for any additional staff.
That's great.
For IT equipment.
That's great.
But I, again,
But
don't know how this
cabling-
one came about.
But cabling and, cabling, I mean, does that include cabling?
Yes.
I mean, because,
Yeah, the estimation includes.
Yes, a desktop is
your
probably
basic
not.
desktop machine, couple of monitors, because most people have 2 monitors nowadays, phone, all the basic IT stuff, including the cabling.
including cabling? Okay, great.
But again, I don't know in this particular instance, I'm not exactly sure where this originated.
Well, I agree with Commissioner Jones. We'll get a request to add a person, and then a month later, or a session later, they need a new phone and monthly charge for a phone.
Yep.
Well, if
Well,
that's
it's just like adding a sheriff's deputy.
and that's not coming from you. We're not saying that should be your responsibility.
Yeah.
No, but it would help to have better communication. I mean, we can always reach out when we know these things are happening.
Does it line up with what the other courts are doing?
That I couldn't say. I mean, I know they all have a bailiff and clerks.
But have the same cabling and phone?
Yeah, as best we can. The county courts are not all the same courtroom. So sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's, it's a different shape. But yes, in general, yes, they follow the same wiring and such.
And as long as it's not going above and beyond and doing something what we normally do for a new employee, I get it. I do wish we could get our act together, so to speak, sooner than later, but as long as we're not putting additional equipment in place that we're going to turn around and see another request for.
Yeah, this one again came out of budget cycle, so that's when these things tend to happen.
Yeah.
All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, under item G, contracts and interlocal agreements, G1 regarding the use agreement with Waco Rowing Club, doing business as Waco Rowing Center for rowing championship event at Trading House Lake Park, recording a certificate of liability insurance. We're still waiting to receive that certificate, so if we could defer this again this week, please.
Okay, make a motion, we defer.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion?
When is that, what is the rowing championship? What are we talking about?
It is April, I believe it's the weekend of the 20th.
So we've only got like one more court meeting for them to get it to us?
Right, and we actually have the mass gathering permit hearing tomorrow afternoon. And so we'll be in contact with them to hopefully get it to us.
Okay.
All right, I made a motion to defer. Is there a second?
You already did.
Okay.
Second.
The second time, okay. All right. Any other questions? If not,
Call for a vote?
yeah, let's call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those passed. Thank you. All right, Dustin, I'd like to go to, see Chris Collins is here, under M4, Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce, monthly economic development report for January and February 24. Good morning.
Good morning. Hope everybody had a nice Easter break. You have before you two reports for us to talk through today. The January and February of 2024 reports. Started off the year with 5 attraction inquiries, down a little bit from where we were this same time last year. But the proposals going out the door, along with our on-site attraction visits, pretty on par with where we were in 2023. Looking at January, when we move over into the February timeframe, those numbers picked up a little bit. Our on-site attraction visits definitely picked up from where we were in 2023, and that was really in preparation for some announcements that we've had for the start of the year. But I would note that we are ahead of schedule from where we were in 2023 for our business retention expansion visits. 16 through the end of February, where we were at 7 in 2023. Overall, our project pipeline remains very strong. And a couple of things that I just wanted to point out to, we do a lot of, we watch the numbers a lot in our office. And when we look at the labor force number, that's one of the most important numbers that we get asked about with prospects. What does your labor force look like? And we were excited to be able to show to them that between 2022 and 2023, our labor force actually increased 4.3%. So that was a pretty substantial number for us. We'll see a revision come out this month from Texas Workforce Commission. So every February, March, they go through and they do a revision of numbers. But we anticipate that those numbers are only going to go up. We don't anticipate that there'll be a lowering of numbers. But the population growth continues to be really strong as well. And those are really positive things in comparison to what some other places are facing across the country, where they're seeing a decline in population and a lowering of their labor force.
So if our unemployment rate is really low and we're growing our workforce, that means that we are
We're
bringing
absorbing
in
those people.
talent.
We're bringing in talent.
Yeah.
We have organic growth within the labor pool too, but it also means that the demand for employees is still really strong.
Yeah.
And we're absorbing those folks as they're coming into the market.
Okay, good.
So
Is there a measure of that? How much is available out there?
As far as head count?
Yeah, as far as workforce goes?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
So, it's the difference between what's available in the
I
labor
know,
pool.
I know there's all
Right.
kinds of different numbers, people who have stopped looking and things like that.
Right, so this only takes into account people that are actively seeking employment.
Okay.
So
There you go.
there are still people out there that are probably on the sidelines, and they may have some barrier to entering into the workforce. So that's where we have a lot of resources and community partners that are out there trying to identify solutions to help them get back into the workforce too. And not only just come into the workforce, but come into the workforce with a skill set that employers are going to find valuable.
Great.
So we had that great news. We did have an announcement with our first anchor tenant going into the Robinson Business Park. So Walmart has announced their new state-of-the-art milk production facility. This is their third operation across the U.S. Yes, sir.
Milk processing, not production. Production
Correct.
means cows.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that
No
correction.
cows.
No cows. No cows.
Yeah.
Milk
You
processing.
notice who understood that?
Yes.
So, yeah.
You know who didn't understand that? The city girl. So milk processing facility. So they will process around 100 million gallons of milk a year out of there. A lot of milk. It'll be white milk and chocolate milk. So we're excited about that, and it'll be gallon and half-gallon sizes that will serve Walmart retail stores along with the Sam's Clubs for about a 5-state region. So this is, their first operation is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They have a second facility that's under construction now in Valdosta, Georgia, and then this one will be their third facility in the U.S.
These new plants have the technology that can add more shelf days to the milk.
Oh, yeah,
It's not a
the-
chemical, it's a process. And it's a how they.
Hyper-pasteurization.
Yeah, hyper-pasteurization and centrifuge technology to be able to separate out the bacteria that cause the milk to go stale.
Yep. So we're looking at around 400 employees with this, total investment about $380 million. So a great win for the region, great win for Robinson and for the county. And so thank y'all for your support with that. And then we had a second announcement a week later with Metal Finishing Solutions establishing an e-coating facility in the Robinson Business Park as well. And so that's a $17 million project that will employ about 80 people. And their facility, they're predominantly a Tesla supplier. So the company, or electric vehicles, the metal parts have to have a special coating on them because of the electricity generated throughout with the batteries, so that there's an anti-conducting coating that goes on there. And so they will process those, the chassis and the metal parts through that facility. And they estimate that it'll be about 10,000 vehicles a week that they'll process through there. So lots of cars coming through the community. But we're really excited about that, and thank y'all for your support there. And we coupled that with the road dedication for John Bowden Parkway. Mr. Bowden was able to be there, so it was a really great day to be able to celebrate and for him to see full circle how his impact on the community. So great day, despite the weather. It was wonderful.
And I want to mention that Commissioner Smith was very involved with working with the city of Robinson, and discussions on the road and all those things were very much appreciated, you representing us.
Well, I appreciate what Chris has moved forward and this court, what they've done, absolutely. I think that generated a lot of positive publicity, not only here locally, but statewide and even nationally when a company like Walmart makes their announcement. That announcement is made nationwide, and that opens people's eyes, and so maybe we ought to look there. We hope that the domino that falls.
Yeah. Activity breeds activity for sure.
Right.
And then just some other good news to share with y'all. Talked with you about this last year, and this year the state of Texas has again won the Governor's Cup for economic development. So this is
We roll out of bed and win the Governor's Cup.
Yes, well,
I mean, it's that easy.
I mean, the number of projects that the state of Texas
Yeah.
had in comparison to the next state was more than double the number in number. So this is the 12th consecutive year.
I'm not trying to downplay the
No,
Governor's
but
Cup,
it's.
But, I mean, since I've been commissioner, we've won it every year.
So this is our 12th consecutive year.
Yeah,
It's
right.
the 20th time that we've won it since they started in 1978. But I would just note that our graphic packaging project was tied and was the 6th largest project in the state of Texas that was announced in 2023. And
awesome.
and it was the largest manufacturing project announced in the state of Texas. When you look at the other ones, there were in the top. They are energy related, they're chemical related, or they are data center IT related. So that's just a little special moment of pride for us. So, but overall, I would just say that things are going really well with where we are. I was in Atlanta last week meeting with site consultants and hearing a mixture of what their predictions are related to activity All of them are still seeing good, strong projects that are coming through. And so we anticipate that that's going to move forward, but they did indicate that, interest rates were having an impact on some decision-making processes, seeing some, they're anticipating a bit of a slowdown in activity for this second half of the year in anticipation for the presidential election and what's going to happen with that. But they also understand that if there's a change in administrations, that likely there will be a rush at the end of the year related to some of the federal stimulus programs that are out there related around manufacturing and renewable energy. So we're just waiting and seeing what happens from that perspective, but lots of questions about foreign direct investment and where the community would stand on certain international investments in the area too. So.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Only comment I would have, follow up on the Walmart, is I'll be interested to see, that's got to have a economic impact in the milk production industry in the state of Texas.
Absolutely.
On what they're going to contract with and buy, because that was their indication of going after, not going after, but buying within the state. And I think it'll have a really positive impact on production
Absolutely.
of milk. So that'll be interesting to see.
They have really high standards for the people that they work with.
Yeah.
And so in order to qualify as a provider, they're going to have to meet a certain level, which I think is important to us as well, because, we value the milk and the dairy industry, but we want to make sure that everyone is being good stewards of the community, of the environment as well. And so I think that's an important thing that they're requiring of all of their vendors too.
And finally, for the judge's edification, chocolate milk does not come from brown cow.
What?
I thought I'd throw that out there.
He's crushed.
Well,
He's crushed, I know it.
I am. Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve Chris's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a great day.
You too. All right, Dustin?
All right, item G2 is ratification of temporary service agreement with Waste Connections Lone Star for Road and Bridge Precinct 3. Commissioner Jones or Kim?
Let's do this one, Ken.
Do what?
Was that G2?
You want me to do it, you want to do it? Okay.
What was that item?
G2?
G2. Precinct 3 is going to have a cleanup, and so this is an agreement, a standard agreement with Waste Connection for a 30-yard roll-off that they're going to locate in Elmont.
Just trying to keep the tires and the couches out of the ditch.
So again, it's already been signed by the judge, so we're just seeking a ratification for this temporary rental agreement.
Motion to approve the ratification of the agreement with Waste Connections Lone Star
Second.
Incorporated.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
G3 is regarding the industrial business grant with Zinc Power Waco, authorization of grant payment. This needs to be deferred.
I'll make a motion, we defer.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
G4, authorization of professional services agreement and related geotechnical pavement proposal with Langdon Engineering from the Clinton County Judicial Center. Zane?
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So this is for the Judicial Center downtown jail conversion project, and it's for geotech borings inside and outside the building. There's going to be 4 external borings and 2 internal borings. The price for the excavation and exploration is $22,800. It's recommended for approval.
All right, any questions? No questions. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G5, authorization of rental schedule agreement with RDO Equipment for Road and Bridge Precinct 4. Commissioner Perry.
Yes, we need to lease one from RDO, and this is our request to do such there. If there's no questions, I recommend make a motion to approve G5.
Second.
All right, have a motion second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G6 is reauthorization of private switch agreement with McLennan County 911 Emergency Assistance District. This is just our annual reauthorization of this agreement. It states that ITU maintain the phone location records through an online database interface to ensure the location of emergency calls will be properly identified for county departments. It's been reviewed and recommended for approval.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Judge, I know Tom is there. Do we want to finish these items under G? and
Yes,
then-
that shouldn't take very long.
Okay, so we can move down to item G8, authorization of interlocal cooperation agreement with City of Bruceville Eddy for cooperative purchasing of road material. Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, Bruceville Eddy has purchased their own Durapatch machine, and they're asking to piggyback on our contract for the aggregate to be used in patching potholes. So that's a recommendation that we approve the agreement with the City of Bruceville Eddy, and that'd be my motion.
Second.
All right, motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G9, authorization of interlocal cooperative agreement with City of Galinda for culvert installation. Commissioner Smith?
Yes, pretty self-explanatory. They need a culvert placed on Woodland Drive in the city of Galinda, and they're asking for us to do that. So we've entered into an interlocal agreement with them, and we asked the court to approve it, and that would be my motion.
All right, have a motion second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G10, authorization of cloud services agreement and related quote with Liftoff LLC for Microsoft Office 365 Visio license. John?
Okay.
Hello, this item is just to add one Microsoft Visio license to our existing 365 group. We need this license for designing some of our audiovisual equipment for our audiovisual tech. It adds, excuse me, it's $15 a month for the last 7 months of this year. It would add $105. We do have enough funds to cover it in our budget, though, so there's no budget amendment requested. It has been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Thank you.
Moving down to G13, authorization of service agreement with AccuPure Enterprise for air and surface annual maintenance program. Ken?
In the original proposal submitted by AccuPure, when we had these elements added to the Highway 6 jail, Jack Harwell, and Bill Lowe Juvenile Center, there was a maintenance agreement built into that original proposal, and it's based on square footage. So we would be paying 10 cents per square foot for the maintenance on on this equipment. And so the annual cost, and this didn't come into play until after 2 years, but the cost will be $33,000 for the maintenance of each of those AC units.
I'd like to see some data that is working.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Good point.
We have proof of the effectiveness of it 1 year versus before we used it, or year to year.
Well, I'll see what we can find out. It's good.
And that was our
your point's
agreement,
well.
that they would monitor and give us statistics that show it.
They already have once, and then we just haven't had another test run.
Yeah.
So,
I'll ask them to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Is this something that could be paid with ARPA?
yes, we looked into that as well, because aren't you inclusive of that with the new,
I mean, it's
We
going to be
pay it.
reoccurring though, so
yeah. I mean, we
The
could now.
project, the
could
AccuPure
for a couple
project
years,
itself
yeah.
was under ARPA.
we could for a couple of years until the end,
yeah.
till 2026 or whenever.
So it is covered?
I mean, I would
I'd
think
still want
it
to
would still, yes.
see an update on it.
Yeah. I don't mind approving the contract if, number one, we can see that we're getting positive results, and two,
Is this required by the jail commission or anything like that?
No, this was brought in during COVID.
Right.
it started COVID.
And,
Is it like the little fogger things?
no, these are photo
So it's
cells that are in the ducts itself.
In the ductwork?
So the filters are in there and the lights are in there, and that's what has to be changed out every, how many years?
Two, I think, is what it was, yeah.
So,
But we could, I mean, they'd be glad to come back and test, I know that.
I thought that was the ongoing agreement that they
No, I don't
continued to
remember
test.
that being in there. I remember that being, we had them do a test to see the efficiency of it at the time, and we were very pleased with the results, and then we moved forward, if I'm correct, Ken, is that?
Well, that was my understanding,
move
but
back.
we can also check maybe to see if there's any less illness in the
That's the point.
facility. I mean, and again,
Compared to
that,
what though, you know?
well, I guess previous years before we had it. So, but again, we were doing this at COVID time too, so.
I think the only controlled environment that we have is the air itself, as far as measuring the quality of the air now versus
That's
a
correct.
year ago, because
Well, or
it'd be
2
hard to
years ago.
monitor illnesses because you don't have same people there all the time.
Right.
So I certainly support the idea, but I would like to see until it expires, be able to use ARPA money to pay for it.
And that, a good point to that is, with PTO now, we're not gonna be able to really know if they called in sick or that
Yeah.
they just take a day off.
Yeah.
So that might be difficult to.
Well,
That's true, we don't have to sick, yeah.
So, Dustin, if you could, next meeting, provide more information on the contract and, requirements by the vendor. And,
Yes, sir.
And we may have leftover funds from one of our projects to pay for the maintenance this year or next.
So, I would move we defer till next meeting.
Second.
Get information on it. All right, that motion second. Any other discussion? Call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Pass. All right, Dustin?
All right. Are we ready to move to water update from LAM on the water projects?
Yes, yes.
That is under our ARPA discussion, under item K, K1A, is regarding professional consulting agreement with Lockwood Andrews and Newman. It's update on water projects.
All right, good morning. How are y'all today?
Great. Good morning to everyone. Haley and I wanted to bring you an update on the ARPA-funded projects that the county is supporting. Overall, there are almost, 21 different projects that are in the process of receiving or have received ARPA funds. They're in some status of, they're underway. They're in some status of being completed. Not all completed. A few we have some issues with, and we'll point those out as we go along. First of all, I need to apologize. I've had the cold and the allergies and everything else, so I apologize for my voice. But we need to look at the completion dates. The next slide there's, next couple of slides, actually. Oh,
That's the old one.
do what?
It would be the old version.
Oh, is this the old version?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you?
And Tom, if IT will stop sharing, Haley had sent over a more updated version. I can share my screen if that's okay.
That would be good, because what I've got in front of me is the kind of an updated, rearranged version. It is the same slides, but in a different order. Did you pass those down? Yeah.
That's the second one that came over, wasn't it, yesterday? Dustin?
There's actually one from this morning,
Oh,
Commissioner.
okay, well, okay, let me scratch this one then. I got you. I got the second one.
They're all, Commissioner, they're all the same slides, they're just in a different order.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because we wanted to emphasize for the court the deadlines that are required by ARPA, and also required in the agreements with the county between the individual beneficiaries as well as recipients. There are two different types of agreements, essentially the same, but one dealing more with political subdivisions, cities, et cetera, and the other being a beneficiary agreement that deals with other types of entities that are not necessarily political subdivisions, and that would be water supply corporations, et cetera. The first slide that in the new set emphasizes those completion dates. Commissioner mentioned the December 31st, 2026 date. That's when all funds must be spent. That's per the McLennan County beneficiary and the subrecipient agreements. And then the next slide is the actual language out of the agreement that all of the entities, the beneficiaries, as well as the recipients, will show you a table of all those just after this. But they all sign this agreement. They all are very well aware of these deadlines. And we are following up now to make sure that we meet these dates and not have to deal with a negative audit. The next slide shows both all of the participants as well as current status. And you notice that one project, that's the Bosque Basin Water Supply Corporation, is complete. The other 20, excuse me, are still underway in various stages of being worked on.
What was the Bosque Basin that they were able to complete already, Tom?
Haley, you want to?
Yes, so they reimbursed themselves for emergency expenses that they had incurred after the, I guess, eligible deadline or beginning of the ARPA funds usage. And that would be a leaning tank, they leveled it, and then they had some well pumps go out that they replaced.
Good.
And some driveway issues that they fixed. So they only got about $180,000, around $200,000. So that kind of took all their funds out.
You know, that's a good point, though, Commissioner, that those funds would have otherwise had to come out of the systems and the ratepayers' pockets.
Big chunk.
So that did help them out a lot. The next slide is.
Quickly on this.
Yes, sir.
How many of these that are still in the design phase? That's a little concerning to me that we're still in a design phase at this time.
Well, that's a concern to us as well. The next slide kind of shows where the real concerns, the more problematic schedules that we have. And those are shown and that are highlighted on this slide. These are arsenic-related projects and include Byram, Riesel, FHLM, and LTG. Now, the only ones that really show dates that are a big problem, of course, the city of Riesel, and we can talk about their approach to the arsenic issue and why they're having some trouble. And you may need to take over here in a little bit, Haley, if I lose my voice. But city of Riesel is not anticipated to have their it's not anticipated to have their construction funds completed until 2027. The others are getting close to that 2026 deadline.
So Riesel's anticipated completion is after the deadline?
Right.
8 months after the deadline?
Right. And I'm going to have Haley talk to you, Commissioner, about how that anticipated date was come up with. LAN looked at the schedules and then extrapolated that schedule to see when, based on that progress, extrapolated the schedule to see when an anticipated completion date would occur. And in this case, Riesel is the one that really misses the deadline significantly. And before I let Haley take over, I'll point out that asterisk that is on those 4, we have meetings set up this week. We set them up, I guess, last month.
Yeah.
With all 4 of these entities to sit down with them, with the judge and Mike, Dustin, and others. Okay.
They're engineers.
They're engineers, that's correct. So, Haley, tell them a little bit about what we're doing with these, how we came up with these dates, that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, so when we were initially setting up the 2 groups, the arsenic versus non-arsenic, we sent out a poll to all of the entities and requested information on their project, what did it include, how long was it gonna take, cost, that kind of thing. So from those initial schedules, we compared what they have submitted to us for the 4th quarter 2023 report as far as status, and we compared those 2 phases and then updated their schedules or extrapolated them, which is what you see here on the slide. So based on their initial durations, this is where they would be if they were following their original project schedules. But as Tom said, we do have meetings with the 4 orange entities, and they will be providing us with an updated schedule. That way we can see if they're still on track to finish by the deadline or if other measures need to take place, such as expediting engineering or things of that nature.
Yeah, and Commissioner Perry, I'd point out on the number of them that have design, quite a few of those are for
Backup
Generators.
Backup generators, thank you. And those are in progress.
Is that what the dashes are, Tom, up there? Like
Explain the dashes.
Axle with a dash, that's a generator?
No.
So the ones that have non-arsenic in parentheses next to them, the majority of those are all generator projects. The ones that don't have non-arsenic, they did not provide something initially in 2022, so we've requested an updated schedule. But they have all been complying with the reporting requirements and have been submitting favorable progress updates to us, so we didn't see that being an issue with them.
So the ones that have a dash, an open space with nothing written, you don't see that being a problem, you're saying?
For the non-arsenic projects that were the emergency generators,
Axtell and Byron are non-arsenic?
yes, sir. And then
City
also
of-
the city of Riesel.
And EOL?
Mhm.
Okay, so all those you're comfortable with right now?
Yes, sir. Because designing the generator pad and the hookup and everything typically doesn't take as long as some of these other projects would. It's mostly the lead time on those projects for getting the generator.
Getting the generator?
Yes, but they can order that before they have, bidding, well, they'd have to bid it, but they can get it ordered and have everything else completed, such as the pad and the electrical hookups and everything, and just be waiting for the generator to be installed. Yes.
Should we not put some form of a deadline in place on a design? My fears are is we're gonna, okay, they're still in design, and then we lose the money. So should we look at putting
Can't reallocate.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things we learned from Forvis is on the beneficiary agreements, we've effectively expended the funds when we paid them to them. And that's what Forvis is telling us. Now, in our agreement, we still make them do December 31st, 2026, but am I stating that correctly, Dustin?
Right, that's right. And I think the other big part, so that's right on the beneficiaries and on all of them as a whole. The one thing that I think we need to remember, we're obligated. And now we have to the end of 2026, but we can break components out on these projects. Like on Riesel, the final project may have that 2027 completion date, but we're going to be working to identifying a component of it that takes up, that $1 million or whatever that agreement is under the ARPA funds to be able to make sure that specific part of that project is complete. So that's part of what we're going to be discussing with these entities and with Forvis as we continue to work through too. So that there may be that big 2027 completion date, but we're going to try to identify parts of it that can be complete by 2026.
So you're saying because we've gone beneficiary agreements, that it could extend past that 2026 deadline without the completion of the project?
No, it's that we've already met the 2026 deadline by paying the beneficiaries.
Giving it to them.
But what if the project never completes that they said they were going to?
Well, that's a contractual deal between us, but it's not an ARPA deal.
But it's not an ARP at that point. So
Right.
the federal government wouldn't ask for the money back that we don't have.
No. And that's, early on, guys, we had no idea what these contracts were supposed to look like and everything. So we were putting in stuff to make sure everything got done by the deadlines, no matter whether it was a beneficiary or a subrecipient. We made these contracts really strict. And so, we're finding out that maybe we were a little bit over the top, but I'd rather be over the top than underwhelmed.
It's just concerning that, what are we, 2 years in? And we've still got a lot of funds out there, and we turned down a lot of other requests.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just getting a little concerned that the timeline is not in our favor.
Are we saying that none of these now are subrecipient, that they're all beneficiaries?
No, there are
So any of the municipalities, I think, are subrecipients.
Lorena West.
Okay, so they have to beat the deadline then.
Right.
Yes.
The beneficiaries are mostly the water supply corporations, or are exclusively the water supply corporations.
Okay. And the subrecipients are aware that that deadline still exists for them?
Right.
If the federal government came back on us, could we then go back on them? I guess.
Well, I think what Dustin brought up is the fact that the whole project doesn't have to be complete.
Sure,
Money-
and I like that idea immensely. I mean, that's.
I like it, assuming that there's still progress being made and the money wasn't spent and there's no result forever.
And
It sounds like.
let me ask this question, because what I thought I heard Dustin say is the money has to still be spent by that deadline, but the project may not be finished yet. So.
Right, we can break out a component of that project.
That money paid for.
Yeah.
Right.
And we can
And we
prove up
did
that.
learn from, I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
No, that's fine, and we can prove up that portion of the project was paid for then.
Right, yes, sir, and this is where I look to Mike and Francis too, but we did learn from Forvis on a call a couple weeks ago. And I think they're looking into it further too, that if we had to claw back funds, I know this question came up a few weeks ago, after the obligation deadlines, it appears that those funds could be used for similar type of projects. where it could be reallocated to, if we got in that situation where we did ultimately have to claw back funds, those could come back and go to another water type project. Francis, Mike, is that what y'all heard as well?
I know they mentioned it. I was very leery of it, and I know she said that, you know, until that final rule comes out, it would be hard to know at this time. But like you said, something we're still looking at.
I understand that, but if you give them a deadline that's at the very end of the federal deadline, and we get money back, it's too late for us to put it anywhere else. If there's the deadline, I think Commissioner Perry was alluding to that, do we need a sooner deadline so we have some options with any money that comes back to us?
One suggestion, Commissioner, we can go through these. I think some of that is dependent on the type of project. As Haley pointed out, some of these are, a number of them are generators and are in different status of delivery, which is much different than actually getting out there, designing a project and building it like they're doing out in West. So I would suggest, let us look at these project by project. We'll look at those dash lines and try to update on where they are. Again, we're meeting next week.
This week.
This week, yes, with the ones in yellow highlighted. And those, we may need to break out projects that we know can be completed by the deadline. So that should give the commissioners an update.
What does the city of Riesel, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what does the city of Riesel's arsenic project look like all in total? I mean, what component wise, things like that? I think that would give us a good idea as to whether or not how easy is this going to be to component out?
The city of Riesel arsenic project is kind of out of the box. It's using alluvium water to mix with Riesel water to reduce the arsenic content.
Right.
And the biggest challenge has been to find the alluvium water. Now that's been found. So the rest of
alluvium water is the most expensive water. I mean, right? I mean, you're talking about Brazos. That's the Trinity, or the.
No, it's not the Trinity. It's a shallow.
It's a shallow water.
Oh, it's okay.
Water.
Okay. All right. Well, then it's not as expensive then.
No, but you have to have a place that there's enough source of it to do some good.
Uh-huh.
So it may take numerous collection areas.
Exactly.
Now, the problem is there was no way to run lines and no will on the people that could do it to run lines to us. So, and you had to find some way to do it.
You have to have a
or
private
face
landowner that had
$30,000 a
source.
day.
Can't find it. I mean,
Well, is that water, that alluvium water that's shallow, does it have to go through a purification process?
Yes, it does.
So do they have that capability at Riesel to?
That will be one of the items built, is a small treatment plant.
Okay.
A lot of work.
I see why it's got a 2027 on it. It looks like to me the West project's coming along nicely.
It is.
With the pictures you furnished here.
Yes, they're about 50% complete.
Looks great.
Their project.
But I mean, they were ready to go. I mean, they were in final design and bidding it when we awarded the the ARPA money to them.
And it's a pretty.
And that's another.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, it's like I mean,
Deal.
everybody. I mean, building a sewer plant is complicated, but there's a template to do it, right?
In the schedule.
And
goes
that's
right
another
along with that.
example where we took one item and said, we're tying this money to this one item in the project. And it wasn't that right, Dustin, that we selected one item out of that project to tie the money to?
I'd have to go back and look, Mike.
Justin,
I'm
that
pretty
is,
sure we did. It was some inlet, outlet, something.
Tom's saying it.
I'm saying yes.
you know, the cost of the West project, total project is much
That's,
greater than what
yeah.
their allocation
Yeah,
would
it's
be. So
probably-
we identified one project within it, you know,
Part of it, yeah.
that could be completed within the,
Let me suggest that, Tom, y'all go ahead and move on through the deal, and then we can ask more questions.
Sure. I think we're, where are we, Haley? Wanted to point out, and again, I think this goes to Commissioner Perry's point. The next slide shows the arsenic projects and the non-arsenic projects. Recall that the county provided $10 million of its ARPA funding towards water, and 44%, 4.4 million going to arsenic projects. And this slide, this pie chart shows the very small slice of that pie that has actually been expended. So we need to have the, funds expended at a faster clip than this, and I think you'll see that when the delivery of the generators particularly takes place. That'll make a big difference. And after our meetings this week, we'll have a better schedule and prognostication of what that use of funds is going to be over the next year or so. So, yeah, we've got some work to do. We're pushing them. And in fact, Haley, I guess on a monthly basis, looks at where they are, and they are, all of the recipients must provide an update every month on what they're doing, how they're doing, what their progress is.
And
kind of
I'd
thing.
I'd sent a pretty strong message as well.
You did.
To move forward with that, so.
That led to these meetings this week.
Yeah, so,
That's roughly 3% of what was awarded has been spent.
yeah.
And I guess the court, I don't want to wait till we have a problem. Do we have a policy or what are we going to do going forward when it's clear that somebody's not going to meet the deadlines? Do we have any thoughts on that or how we approach that, or?
I'm not sure we don't need a deadline to the deadline.
Yeah.
And say at this point,
Especially if we have the ability to reallocate and whether or not that could happen or
and
not.
I look back at what Commissioner Perry was talking about a lot of worthy organizations were left out.
But I thought it's being put in that as well, as having a backup when funds aren't
Yeah.
spent, didn't meet the guidelines. I will say this, that, don't send the impression that these entities aren't working on it. And it's not the volunteer boards that are in charge, it's their professional service agreement with their engineers. Some engineers are more responsive than others, and so we're pointing those out. And, there's work being done. And, like Tom said, the generator issue is gonna move that pipe over a little, pretty good bit. But after this meeting this week, we'll be able to give you a more firm status of where each one of these entities are. So it's important that they know it's important that they qualify for these funds. And without these funds, some of this, like the arsenic issue, has to be solved, whether we provide funds or not, because EPA is demanding it. And the cost at the meter to their kind of cooperative type structures, the cost to their members can be very expensive.
And in line with what you said about having issues with some of the engineers that maybe don't respond appropriately, maybe that's why we need to put a deadline in front of a deadline, because we need to do something. I'm just concerned. I honestly, right now, I have very little confidence that we're going to be able to spend these funds, all of them. And that's troubling to me, because we're going on 3 years now of working on this, and we're still We spent 3%.
An important note on the amount of money that's been spent so far is that a lot of these entities have been holding on to these funds to use during construction. So if they're not done with design yet, they don't really have those components that they can spend it on, because they did have money saved or money put back to pay their engineer to design. So that could be another reason why it's not greater.
But wouldn't it have made more sense to use the ARPA money for, or could it not be used for the design? Could it be used in the design?
It just depends, and it depends on how it was
Legally, it
procured.
could have, okay.
Yes.
So it would have seemed like to me made more sense to use the ARPA money for the design and save back their other money that doesn't have to have a deadline to be spent.
Right, I think some cases they were wanting to make sure that they had the full design and it was all good to go before they started using those funds, essentially.
Is there anyone that's gonna use the ARPA money for generators that has not, as of yet, ordered the generator?
I believe there are a few, yes. There are some that have ordered, and it was about a 6 to 8 month lead time on getting the generator
On
in.
getting the generator?
Yes,
That's what I'm
but they
thinking.
had already contracted with like someone to put in the concrete pad and the electrical and everything. So that's what we recommended the other projects, other generator projects do, and go ahead and get their stuff ordered.
I think after meetings this week, Commissioner, we'll be able to give you enough information to, if an interim deadline is needed, I think we'll be able to provide information that will help the court decide what's needed, how stringent it needs to be, what are the consequences of it, those kind of questions that go along with it. But certainly the point is well taken, and I guess in our meetings, Judge, we can pass along the concerns of the
Oh,
court.
yeah, absolutely.
And that the consequences could be dire if we don't see progress taking place.
Right, absolutely. And so right now, the hurdle that we're against now is the engineering firms completing their work. The next one, though, just to give you a warning, is the contractor piece of it to actually do the installation. And so I'm concerned about that out of their control, things could happen. But we still have a lot of other things that we're working on, is the plumbing projects and the source of additional water, where it's gonna come from. We're working on multiple aspects of that. City of Mark could be a solution for a lot of this. And so
Absolutely.
that's what we're working on there.
With that, we do have a couple of slides to show
Okay.
just progress photographs. This is one of the testing sites for the city of Riesel. And it's a pilot well with some geotechnical work, resistivity they call it, to try to identify the location and quantity, the best quantity, best location for this alluvium water. And so they are making progress with respect to identifying the sites, running into trouble with landowners and being able to acquire that access to that alluvium. And the next slide is.
That shovel, is that supposed to mean something, full of gravel?
That's
what's
where the
coming.
water comes, that's where the
That's
water
the
comes
zone.
from. Yeah.
That's material within the zone, which tells me, looking at it, that it's aggregate, it's primarily aggregate, not much like clay and other material. Therefore, water can move through it. So if you're pulling water out, it's got to backfill into it. And so that determines what the yield would be in that kind of soil structure, from what little I know about it.
That is actually the underflow of the Brazos River materials. The next slide is City of West and the progress that they're making. You can see it's fully underway and a pretty standard construction project. We have an excellent engineer involved with this project. So the progress, as well as the progress reports, are timely and complete. And so we have kind of a mixed bag. We have some confidence in, Commissioner. We have some like you that we do have some concerns with. Our goal is to sort out the projects of most concern this week. And then we'll work on being able to give you an update that commissioners can then decide how to move forward with another deadline or whatever's needed. But with that, are there any other questions?
Any other questions?
I think we
kind
of shared our
I think
concerns.
I think we'll have some questions. I think we're looking forward to next week's.
So the person
Next time.
that's probably worked more with all the entities in between Tom and the water companies and Francis and Mike Dixon and all that is Dustin. Dustin, what's your summarizing statement where we are right now?
Yeah, I think there's definitely gonna be some we have to push on, but I think, thinking back, I think it was about this time last year that we entered into some of these agreements. So, some of them are about a year in, some maybe a little bit longer. We still have 33 months to actually expend these funds, and kind of the first big deadline is getting the funds obligated by the end of this year. So we checked that box, and now we just have to stay on them and keep the projects moving forward, so.
Okay. All right, do we need any action on this or approve the report?
I think we just want to do it for recording purposes, Judge, that would be good.
All right, I'll make a motion, we approve this report for recording purposes.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. I want Ryan Durker to come up, and then we'll break right after his, after we.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank y'all very much.
Appreciate y'all coming.
Okay, Dustin, what agenda item?
I'm looking for it, Judge, it's item M2, discussion or action regarding the 2024 total solar eclipse.
Alrighty, thank you guys. So we've talked about it for a long time, and it is here. It's nigh upon us this upcoming Monday. The good news is we're ready. Really, this county through the sheriff's department and other county offices and this court who have participated in all of the planning operations have been one cohesive unit from the beginning. I'm feeling real good about this to the extent that we can. We've made great strides in our preparations for it. So this weekend, the EOC will be up and operated starting Friday evening through all of the events that are happening in the downtown corridor in the city of Waco. But also we've spoken to all of the volunteer fire departments, all the other municipalities in the county, all the other players. They know where to find us if they need support. Everyone has each other's phone numbers. They've been a part of the process really since day one on this. But we'll be up Friday evening, Saturday evening, Sunday evening, and Monday all day until the traffic impacts clear the county. So the long and short of it is we're ready. We're feeling good about it. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
So I'm looking at the forecast for that day, and it looks like it's mostly cloudy, 52% chance of rain. It's pretty good when they can get it down to 52.
It would have been a problem at 54.
But they really don't know what the hell they're talking about. And so anyhow, that.
So it is important to realize that only one day in the last 4 years have we had completely sunny skies. It's the beginning of spring. It rains sometimes.
Yeah.
We'll take that. We'll take that one day at a time. We'll take it as it comes. As I've mentioned from the get-go, I do want to mention again. Even if it is cloudy, it will still get dark.
Yes, it will.
The temperature will still go down. You still will be able to notice. The type of cloud cover they're talking about, without getting too science nerd on it, is it's high level stuff. So it's not the real thick things that usually form down low. So there still is a pretty good chance. We're not in panic mode yet, but we'll be keeping a close eye on the weather as the event approaches.
Okay, sounds good. I generally have a little celebration every time the sun goes down. I might have to have two in one day.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Great idea.
That's
a great idea.
Is there a motion to accept that report for recording purposes?
So second.
All right, have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Ryan. All right, this time, I'd like to go into a 5 or so minute recess.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Call court back into session. All right, Dustin, what's the next agenda item?
Yes, sir. We can go back up to item I, budget amendments, I-1s regarding the FY '23 budget. Francis?
Thank you. So we haven't talked about 2023 in a while, but we actually got our final audit opinion letter yesterday. So we can completely close out 2023, and we'll be bringing that report to you on one of the next agendas. But we've been holding some cleanup entries just until that process was done. So that's why we have a few of those on here today. So to walk through those, I-1A, this is a budget amendment for general fund, just to clean up some line items, small amounts there needed for some expense lines there in general fund. The next three budget amendments, just to give you a little background, there were some new accounting statements that went into effect this year for us. And what it involves is looking at the amounts that we spend on leasing equipment. So our copiers, our postage machines, body cameras, those types of things. Also the amounts that we spend on software licensing each year. And so what we have to do now is we have to estimate how long we're going to use that equipment or that software, come up with a present value, and then we have to book a capital asset and we have to book a liability for that lease, is what they call it. It has no cash flow it has no cash flow. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words here, but it doesn't affect cash flow at all. But what it does is it does require some accounting entries. And so we do need to clean up the budget just to make those lines not exceed budget. So that first one there, that I-1B, so this is in Fund 122. And so you'll see there what we're doing. We're moving the cost for the software support and license there up into a principal and interest payment for that lease. So again, it's just how it appears on our financial statements. And then
Do you have that are you able to break that out?
It's
Or is that done for you, or are you
No,
having to come up?
we
with
have to do that. So we have to come up with the present value, and then
Wow.
you look at the interest rate. You can use an incremental borrowing rate. You can use an implicit rate. We come up with a rate, and then we have an amortization schedule for each one for the life. So.
Interesting.
And it is very interesting. And so then I-1C is that same reclass type of entry, but for general fund. So you'll see there some of the lines where a lot of those costs are housed, and then again, just reclassing it into principal and interest.
Okay, I don't want to beat this horse today.
No. We could talk about this for days.
Yeah, right. These are some pretty detailed description, and they're going into a not so detailed
Correct.
Description. Is that the way it will be? Are we going to do that? How are we going to do that in the budget process from now on?
So I think, and we're still tossing around some ideas for this so that it is clear for you to make the decisions you need to. But what we have done is we have tried to get all of these costs for one housed in one line that says software licensing or equipment leasing. So you'll be able to see that. And so I think moving into this year, we'll start with that. So you'll know that's what we pay that year for software licensing for that product.
Okay.
And then we'll come back.
Well, that's much
and
better
we'll-
than
yeah.
other services and charging.
Yes. And so we really want to, so you can literally, just with a touch of a button, see exactly what we are spending on software each year.
Great.
But then we'll do this reclass entry.
But you'll still be able to go in there and under software licensing where it's all together and hit what I call a subsection that breaks it down.
Yes, we can always give you any detail for any
Departments,
account.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir. And sometimes these catch-alls, if something gets very, very heavy in one line, that's when we'll say, hey, we need to break that out. We need to separate that out for that department.
Okay.
And then I-1D, this is the entry that's needed when you have new leases set up for the current year. So you'll see there that we're increasing capital outlay, and then we're increasing the inception of a leased asset or SEBITA. So again, these are things that are just accounting entries. They don't affect cash flow, but of course just needed to keep our budget clean.
So that's I-1A through I-1D,
Correct.
and that's the 23 budget.
Yes, sir.
We're closing it out.
Yes.
All right.
Any questions on those? If not, is there a motion to approve those items mentioned?
So move, second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Okay, and so then moving on to 2024 budget amendments. So starting with I-2A, this is general fund capital outlay. This is related to an item that was approved on the March 12th agenda. So it's a video surveillance system for the JP4 McGregor building. And so you'll see there the quote and the amount that was approved on that last agenda. And then the budget amendment is being requested to come from contingencies into capital outlay. I-2B is General Fund County Court at Law 3. So this is related to item F2 that was discussed earlier and approved. And so this is the data and telephone cabling for County Court at Law 3. Again, asking to come from contingencies there into the appropriate line item. I-2C, this is a certification of revenue and related budget amendment. We'll get to this item here in just a bit, but this there was a donation that will be presented to you to accept. And so this is certifying that revenue. It is a check from the County Defense Bar for $500. And they have specified that they want it spent for program incentives for the specialty courts. So this certification of revenue allows us to set up budget for that specific amount so that they can proceed with spending it. I-2D, this is General Fund Commissioners Court. This is related to item F1 that was approved earlier. And so this sets up the budget in order to move the AV equipment where you're wanting it here, as well as that needed furniture. And so we're asking to increase furniture and equipment as well as other services and charges. And the request is coming from contingencies. I-2E, this is General Fund Constable Precinct 4. So he is requesting to move within his department into supplies to cover costs for the remainder of the year, as well as additional cell phone that was needed for his deputy that began after the beginning of the year. I-2F, this is General Fund for Constable Precinct 5. Requesting to move within that budget into supplies from professional development. This is specifically for ammo. The amount was actually budgeted. It was included in their request for professional development. The thought was that would be, it was needed for the training, so that it would be housed there, but we do need to reclass it to the appropriate line.
Is there a difference between professional development and professional services now?
Yes.
There is.
So professional development should encompass all
Training,
of your training and travel expenses. So
Okay.
mileage, meals,
Okay.
lodging, the actual conference cost. Then professional services is just that category. Engineering, consulting, professional
When you
consultants.
contract with someone for.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct,
I just want to make certain.
Yes, sir. So I-2G, this is in Fund 419, the 2019 bond proceeds. And this is just a small increase needed to the tower project line for February cost for our consultant, Frank Patterson. And so since that project's winding down, we're just bringing these budget amendments to you each time, just so that we keep that budget exactly where it needs to be. I-2H, this is General Fund County Sheriff. So this is a request for software lines in the jail and Jack Harwell for the software licensing needed for the Guard One inmate tracking system. They did find money within that department. And at budget time, this wasn't included because the system wasn't fully operating, it wasn't fully functional yet, it wasn't complete. And so the cost was not known at that time on how much the licensing would actually be. So that's why we're coming back at this time to clean up those lines. I-2I, this is General Fund Maintenance of Buildings, requesting to move within that department into uniforms and insignias for costs for the remainder of the year. I-2J, this is General Fund Maintenance of Equipment. And so the request is to increase the radio tower line from a repair and maintenance line within that department. They are asking for some increase there, just for costs for the remainder of the year, but also specifically for the semi-annual radio tower testing. I-2K, this is General Fund Road and Bridge Precinct 2, requesting to move into capital outlay for the purchase of a tire changer, and then an increase to furniture and equipment for items that may come up before the year is out. And that is coming from within that department, from their contingencies line. I-2L, this is General Fund Road and Bridge Precinct 3, requesting to move from within that department into furniture and equipment, as well as road construction materials, primarily for paving materials for projects coming for the spring and summer. And then I-2M is General Fund Road and Bridge Precinct 1, requesting to move within that fund into capital outlay. This is to cover some fees for a capital purchase that weren't on the original quote. So that will allow the full cost to be expended in that line. I think that is it.
Okay. Any questions on those that we've just gone over? If not, is there a motion to approve I-1A through I-2M?
I-2A through I-2M,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
All right, moving down to item K1B regarding the professional services agreement with BKD/Fortis, authorization of grant administration services invoice through February 2024. This invoice totals $3,775.37. It's for the grant administration services through February. It's been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Okay, any questions or comments? I assume you're satisfied with the service and response, Dustin?
Yes, sir, and I think Francis and Mike. will
Francis.
agree
Yes,
as
sir.
well.
Yeah, okay. Good. All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
K1C is authorization of letter of intent/professional engineering services agreement with EMA Engineering and Consulting for the HVAC renovations project. So I'll give a little bit of background on this before turning it over to TJ and Mike. Feel free to add in anytime. So if the court remembers, in our ARPA buckets, the way we have them set up, we have $5 million set aside for the downtown jail project, and then an additional $5 million for HVAC renovation project at other facilities, which includes the jail, Jack Harwell, adult probation, and others. So we're talking specifically about that $5 million that's not associated with the downtown jail. And TJ has done a lot of work and had a hard time finding an mechanical engineer that has worked on federal projects. We finally found one. Under federal procurement, we have followed the most stringent state, local, or federal. Ours is the most stringent in that we can, most stringent procurement policy, but federal government requires competitive procurement. So they would actually want us to bid engineering services. We cannot do that by state law. It's a professional service, so we can't do it. To meet the federal requirement, we would have to then do a request for qualifications. And with the time crunch that we discussed earlier today, with these funds having to be obligated by the end of the year, we think it's best to select a firm, use that professional engineering exemption, and then just pay that consultant out of general fund dollars. We met with this firm last week or the week before. They can have have the project spec'd in about 30 to 60 days, go out to bid on the summer. We'll competitively procure the work, and so it will fit under ARPA, and then be able to have those funds obligated sometime, hopefully third quarter of 2024. So, Mike, anything you want to add or correct on that?
No, we did find one engineering firm, and they wanted $1 million for it. A little bit over $1 million, actually. This firm is charging 6%. They expected that it'd probably come in at $180,000. But even if it's at the maximum, let's say the bids came back and they're at $5 million, it would still be only $300,000. But yes, we're in a time crunch to get this done, and there isn't really time to go out for bids for professional services, especially when we know there's nothing out there because we've already checked.
TJ, do you want to talk a little bit about the project itself?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So most of you are aware, just due to ARPA and the restraints on it, that, this project is based around adding additional fresh air into the facilities. So we met with this engineer, come up with a great scope of work on how we can achieve it pretty easily. And they're really the only ones that we have talked to that have made it so easy. So we are really looking forward to this project. What it's going to do for us is most of those facilities that you see in that top 4 list, they've got units that range between 10 and 25 years old. So from an efficiency standpoint and a fresh air standpoint, this is our project. Some of you may recall several years back, we had met with Johnson Controls about doing a major energy efficient project on these facilities. And this it does twofold for us. It gives us that, plus we get to utilize ARPA funding. So we've looked over all this stuff. We recommend it for approval. We're excited about it. Hope you guys are too.
Francis, do you have a comment?
I was just going to say, if you're agreeable to use general fund dollars for the professional fees associated with this, we would be bringing a budget amendment, of course, to you since that's not budgeted. But even after today's budget amendments, and we're halfway through this fiscal year, we're still sitting well above $1 million in contingencies. That is where we would be taking it from at this time. So just wanted to give you a heads up there.
But they'll just bill us as we go, correct?
I would assume so.
More likely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think investing our general fund dollars to get this kind of return back really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And looks like a good opportunity.
Anything to get the ball rolling on this.
Yeah.
As we've seen with the discussion earlier.
So I'd make a motion, we move forward.
Second.
All right, I have a motion. Second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Right. K2 is regarding the grant agreement with Department of State Health Services, ratification of revised financial status report for detection and mitigation of COVID-19 in confinement facilities grant. Francis.
Thank you. So there was a financial status report we brought to you on the last agenda. We needed to make some corrections to it. So this is just that revised report for approval.
Okay. Any questions? All right, is there a motion to approve ratification of the financial status report?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
K3 is regarding the Texas Community Development Block Grant, construction agreement with No Dig Tech LLC, authorization of change order number 1 for the Elmont sewer improvements. Zane?
Yes, sir. So this is change order number 1 for the Belmont Community Block Grant project. It's a sewer improvements at Leroy Parkway. So the change order is adding $37,632.26 of items that were priced at a competitive price, but it's deducting $48,194 for items that were not going to be used. So the overall change is a deduction to the overall project of $10,561.74. Our consultant engineer, MRB Group, is recommending this change order, and I've reviewed it, as well as Ken Bass, and we're all in agreement that we should approve it, that y'all should approve it.
All right, any questions?
Motion to approve change order.
Second.
A motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
K4 is regarding the Texas Health and Human Services Commission Construction Grant Program for Mental Health Facilities, ratification of letter of support for the Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network Community Collaborative Diversion Crisis Center Construction Project. This had a short turnaround time. Applications were actually due last night at 5 o'clock, I believe. So the BHN had requested a letter of support. This is similar to the resolution we approved last week, where if this grant is awarded, it would be renovating the Clifton Street facility that we currently lease to BHN, and there would be construction of a new diversion facility at that location as well. So we just need a motion to approve or motion to ratify this letter of support.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the ratification of the letter of support?
So moved. Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
Under item L, Department Office Specific Request, L1 is Constable Precinct 5, discussion regarding additional parking spaces. TJ?
Yes, so we received a request from Constable Precinct 5 to add some additional constable parking only signage in the lot over off of Richter Street. They currently have 2 parking spots now. They're asking for the 3 additional just because on truancy days and court days, there seems to be a heavy load on the parking lot. And they're having to park down the street or across the street at the apartment complex. So we kind of agree with this request and find it in line with what they need.
Okay.
TJ, say how many total spaces they have right now allocated for the constable's office?
They have 2 now that are allocated for police only.
And there's only 3 total constables.
3 total constables, but they have outside entities that come in on a regular basis, Beverly Hills PD, Sheriff's Office, different entities.
How many total spaces are available there?
I think there are, and I hadn't done an exact count on it, but Commissioner, if I had to guess, I'd say there's probably 18 to 20 total spaces over there.
18 to 20 total spaces. And so that would leave 15, 16, if we're taking, let's see, 3 away, yeah. What, leave about 17 spaces for the public? I don't want to, you know, I don't know about anybody else around here, but I have to find a place to park every morning. So, I don't want to cut down on the number of spaces available for the public, I guess is what worries me. I want to make sure our
I
public
think
has.
a reasonable approach might be maybe 1, and whoever is responsible for the bailiff duties, that's where they park. If they're saying they want 3, I'm sure they're not all 3 in there at the same time during truancy hearings.
Well, I was thinking that, but the case may be that they have come to the office that day before they leave out, and because there's truancy court going on, all the spaces are taken. That was the other side of what, I agreed with what you said. My thought was, why would we have all 3 of them there on truancy day? But it may be they're just there until they move out somewhere else to start serving papers. So I see that point also. I just don't want to create the illusion that public comes up there to park and there's no spaces available, but there's 3 empty spaces reserved for the constable's office, or 5, whatever they are, all the time. And most of the time they're empty. So, yeah, I've got some mixed emotions about it. I would like to maybe see us start with 1 or 2 and then work up to it if we feel like there's a need, TJ, to be honest with you. You see where I'm coming from, TJ? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, absolutely. So they have the 2 now. If we want to add a 3rd, that should cover all personnel for the constable's office. So if you're in agreement, we could just stick to the 3.
I'd like to see us start with that, and then if we and then you stay on top of it, and if you see the need, after talking with them, and I certainly want to accommodate their needs too, because I know they're in and out. Come back to us, but I'd like to see us provide as much as we can for the public. So I have no problem. I have no problem making a motion to add 1 additional parking space for constable deputies at this time. That'd be my motion.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and second. Parking, the parking situation for the whole downtown and specifically the courthouse it's changed a lot in the last few years. It's finding parking is a challenge. So, I think we need to be real judicious on how we allocate these parking spots. People that work in the emergency response side do need priority in that regard, and then handicap after that. So I think just everybody needs to know that as we go forward, that we may have to relook at all this parking. In other words, even some kind of parking study, or hate to get into all that kind of business, but so I would support the motion and the second because of the fact that the entity that giveth can taketh away. And so we may have to modify that sometime in the future. So, all right, any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
L2, Justice of the Peace Precinct 4, discussion and action regarding office reconfiguration. TJ?
So we went by and met Justice of Peace Precinct 4. As you guys are aware, they had some additional staffing this year that was approved through budget. As it turns out, the office configuration, the way things are put together in that structure, you've got one main area that houses JP staff and tax office staff. Well, with the additional of the personnel, it kind of puts everybody out in the open where they're all kind of shared space. Different conversations are being heard by different personnel that probably shouldn't hear those conversations, especially on a court-related matter. So I went out, visited with Judge, came up with a good game plan, building a hard-walled office in the main workroom there in the facility. And these are those cost figures associated with it. Based off of what we're seeing over there, the need is extremely high, so we would definitely recommend moving forward with this.
Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
A motion made and second. Any other discussion?
Only discussion I'd make is I wish these items would come to us during budget time.
Another consequence of an added.
Yeah.
There you go.
And since that was brought up earlier, there's been 2 other cases of accommodation too.
Yeah,
So.
same type of situation, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I have motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
L3, Specialty Court. L3A is approval of order for acceptance of monetary donation, and L3B is approval of order for acceptance of tangible, non-monetary donations. Francis?
Yes, so L3A, I mentioned something about it during the budget amendments, but this is for you to accept a monetary donation totaling $500. It is for the Defense Bar, and it's specific that it be used for program incentives for these specialty courts. Okay. And then L3B, like Dustin mentioned, is just a listing of their tangible or non-monetary donations for the months of February and for March.
Okay, any questions or comments? Much appreciated for those donations. Is there a motion to approve L3A and L3B?
So moved. Second.
Have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
L5, Information Technology, update on McLennan County website redesign launch. John?
Tennis shoes on today. I think Reagan passed out some pictures of the front page of the website that will be active on the 11th. So this item was approved by Commissioners Court. There was no budget impact. It was included in our contract. So this was approved by the website, and I got that wrong when I put it down, but the website, what do they call it? Website Steering Committee. I had redesign committee down originally, sorry. And this was headed up by our support manager, Jaquinta Fisher. We had a lot of folks look at this. I know you all were past at least a few of these items before we made them permanent. So again, it's going live April 11th. We're expecting about 10 a.m. Central Time. Let's see if there's anything. The only other thing to note about this is that our mobile app will be going live towards the end of April, and it will coordinate with that and make both more effective to the citizens. As you know, it was more of a design change than a function change. The site still basically functions as it does, but it is now, there's a lot of back-end things that are not obvious to the user that were included in this that'll make it more functional as we move on with the mobile app especially. And I think once people click on these things, they'll see that they're more visually appealing. They're also, it's more obvious what you're clicking on, and things pop up and move a little bit more to help those who have some visual impairments and other ADA accommodation problems. This is recommended, I think it's, sorry, not for approval, it's just for recording purposes, I believe here, since it does not have any budget impact. Were there any questions about the new design or rollout or anything?
Did this go through an accessibility review?
Yes, our accessibility coordinator, Chiquinta Fisher, was the one who headed this entire project. Is there, are you speaking of an official review, Mike?
No, Chiquinta knows, she's one of the most knowledgeable about this stuff, so if she looked at it, I'm pleased.
Yes, she headed up this entire project, so yes, she was intimately involved with that.
Not speaking for anyone else, but we don't have access to Photoshop.
This takes a lot more than Photoshop to pull together, I promise you.
I was just looking at my picture here.
I recognize you
Oh,
right
for
off.
yourself.
Me, I don't
Sorry.
know. Some old guy said.
Are you asking, are there filters on it?
I'm just glad nobody.
Yeah,
I think it's great, John.
And then there'll be some modification in content from like precinct 2.
Yes, the content that was requested, yes, we will
Yeah.
make those changes before it goes live.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you. Any questions anyone have?
My motion would be to accept for recording purposes L5.
Second.
I have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Thank you.
The only other thing, I would just like to say thank you to everybody who was on the committee, and Chiquinta, of course, for running this. They did a great
Yeah.
job with this.
Good
It's
deal.
come
That's
a long ways from 12 years
yeah,
ago.
and fortunately, we got people monitoring, looking at it and suggesting changes and, that kind of, action on it. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dustin?
Right, item L6, purchasing authorization of online auction with Renee Bates related ad in order declaring certain property as surplus and authorizing the disposition of same. Ken?
Yes, we have 25 lots prepared for the online auction. We have some in purchasing, some at the Cobb's and some at Highway 6 jail. If approved by the court, the auction would begin on April 4th, 2024 and close on April 18, 2024.
All right, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Under item M, additional items, M1's discussion and or action regarding retired patrol vehicle request from Mark Volunteer Fire Department. And if we can defer this again, please.
All right, I'll make a motion, we defer.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Right, M3, selection designation of public members of the Salary Grievance Committee. I don't believe any actions needed at this time.
Okay.
We will move down to item M6, authorization of refund requests for overpayment of real estate taxes. Tax office has submitted refund requests, and those are listed in your packet. And just a reminder, these are the ones in excess of $2,500 that must be approved by Commissioner's Court.
All right, any questions on these? Looks like the list is longer than normal. Some of them pretty good size.
I wonder if that had to do with the
Appeals?
the school changes that were made back in.
I don't know. Or is it just finalization of appeal values or something.
That's what I was thinking. All right, is that a question y'all need answered take action on this?
No.
Right. Okay.
Motion to approve the refund request.
Second.
All right, motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
M7, approval of order declaring certain property as surplus and authorizing the sale of said surplus. This is Body Armor to Lorena Police Department. Captain Ives or Ken?
If you want me to do it, David, or you want to do that?
I don't mind speaking to it, Ken. We have a employee that is separating from the county, and he is going to work for another police department here locally. The body armor that we get for the deputies is fit specifically to those deputies. I believe this one has about 35% of its usable life left, and the department has inquired as to whether they can purchase it from the county. Wait times on body armor are excessive, somewhere between 2 and 6 months. And to make sure that employee, even though he won't be our employee, still providing service to the citizens of this community that we live in, has that body armor during the period of time, it's reasonable for us to sell it. We have no other use case for it. They sit in a cabinet until they time out anyways.
Okay, is there any, do we prepare any disclaimer language in that transfer so, to make sure they understand that, there's only 30-something% useful life left, anything like that?
Correct. That's actually stamped on the plates, Judge. So they have a direct expiration date on the plates, and those are stamped on each one of the plates.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
M8, regarding the Clinton County Group Health Plan, authorization of United Healthcare 2024 summary plan descriptions. M8A is the health savings plan, M8B is the copay plan, and M8C is the flexible spending account plan. Anna?
Thank you, Dustin. So these documents are the actual agreement implementation of our flexible spending account and both of our health plans. It's how UHC administers our plans and how they function throughout the year. There were only minor edits to the summary plan descriptions from last year. One of those is just reflecting the lower deductible that the county had approved from $3,500 for the individual deductible to $3,200. So that change is now reflected in this governing document for the plan. And then also clarification on the initial enrollment period language. It's just language correction, but this has been the enrollment period that's been in practice and in place. So those two minor edits are the only ones, and we have our health consultant who's reviewed it, HR has reviewed it, and we're recommending it for approval.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve M8, A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Thank you.
And I know we skipped around quite a bit, but that should be all the action items. Don't mind just confirming.
Okay, is that right? Okay, that's confirmed. Just a couple of announcements. I'd like to ask Chief Lossman to come forward and bring his guest up here. I don't hardly recognize him in street clothes.
That's right.
The original occupant of the office.
Visited about it, just want to introduce Tim Davenport, who's our new captain at the sheriff's office over patrol in the courthouse.
All right, well, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
I had got a message about that earlier, and I couldn't think anybody'd be any better. And so anything the court can do to help you, I know we stand ready to do so. So thanks so much.
Appreciate that.
Congrats.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
One other thing that I have, hang on. Y'all may recall that we have a renaming Precinct 5 to recognizing Judge Villarreal name be on that facility. There would be a ribbon cutting for that ceremony on Friday, April the 12th at 11 a.m. That's on 1800 Richter Drive. So want to make that announcement.
Well, at what time, please, sir?
11.
11 a.m. Okay.
Okay, if there's not anything else to come before the court, we stand adjourned.
Recording stopped.